Coming up on Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte. Guess what this stunner used to be?
They took the body of a and created a completely different car.
The couple that cruises together likes Pontiacs.
I had one of these when me and my wife here got married.
I had one when I was 18 and I wanted another one.
And an unrestored Packard that's holding up very well.
It had 126,000 on it when I bought it 41 years ago.
Plus,
we've started the final process of putting it back together, getting everything pretty and perfect and just the way it should be.
it's the restoration of the last Hemi. So, shall we get going?
Yes, sir.
Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte, starts right now. Hi everybody, welcome to Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte. I'm Jeff Phelps, standing on what used to be Front Street in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. That was decades ago. Close down the street, make it a walking arcade. What a great venue for a car show. Joe, I walked by and I thought, what a beautifully restored Olds Delta 88.
Right.
I was wrong, wasn't I?
Yes, sir, you sure was.
How wrong am I?
Well, I bought it new in 1966.
And you've had it ever since?
Yes, sir.
And it's not been touched?
Not been touched, except the engine was detailed in 2002.
You cleaned up the engine and that's it?
That's it.
That's unbelievable. After you told me it was original, I said, well, did you have it repainted? And you said?
No.
Not repainted.
No, that's original paint.
Now see, that's almost as stunning as the fact that you're the original owner of a car that looks this good and hasn't been touched.
Right.
And obviously, you must not have driven it too much since you had it brand new.
Well, right at the present, I have 63,000 miles on it. Original miles, yes.
Now, when you bought this car, did you buy it to drive it, or did you buy it to keep it and thinking 40, 50 years from now, I'll have a great car?
Well, actually, I bought it to drive like anybody else, but after 2 months, I worked at Goodyear Tire and Rubber, and I come out one night, somebody had stolen the emblem off the grill. So I said, that's it, I'm not driving it into Goodyear anymore. So I didn't start getting interested in the car till I retired in 1997. Then like I say, I had a detail in 2002.
So it really sat for about 30 years? You didn't do too much with it?
Well, just, you know, I drove it, I took it to Canada fishing a couple times, you know. But
yeah, that's typical use for a classic car.
Well, actually, one year it got sap all over it from the trees.
Yeah.
So I quit driving it up there, you know, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't take much for you to park it, Joe. I like that.
Right.
Keep it nice that way.
I try to, yes. That's my big baby.
What is it about the Delta 88 that attracted you in the first place, Joe, and since then has made you want to hang on to it forever?
Well, I fell in love with it when I walked into the showroom, you know. It's the body design and that, you know. I like that design, you know. And the collar and the interior, you know, all seem to go together. So, and then the price also, you know. Back then it was only $3,200.
Well, you know, as it turns out, somebody stealing the insignia off the grill might have been the best thing that ever happened to you and your car.
It probably was, actually. I mean, if it wasn't for that, I'd probably been driving it more so in the winter and that, you know.
And you probably wouldn't have it right now.
Right, I probably wouldn't know. Probably be sitting in a junkyard somewhere.
Sharpie, we've walked all around tonight. I've seen only one person who's dressed like their car and looks as good as their car. You would be that person tonight.
Well, thank you, sir.
I love the outfit. I love the car more.
Oh.
What exactly is this?
It's called a Tiffany Classic.
A Tiffany Classic.
Yes, sir. They took the body of a Mercury Cougar and created a completely different car than the Mercury Cougar. I think the whole idea was to be competitive with the Excalibur.
So it was a 1986 Mercury Cougar?
Yes, sir.
And what on this is still a Mercury Cougar?
The middle part of the body is the Mercury Cougar, and the extensions on the side, back, and rear are fiberglass.
So the guts of the car, right around the interior, that's Cougar?
Yes, sir.
And everything front, everything back?
It's just extended fiberglass, but although they do have a 5.0 302 engine in it.
Now, what attracted you to this car?
Different. Like me.
It is different.
Like me.
How did you first hear about these?
When I was working at Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company, they used to have a place right down here that used to sell Zimmers that are similar, only they're on a Mustang body. So I always said, you know, I sure would like to have, but they were relatively expensive back then. They were about $50,000. Just as these were around $50,000 back when they first built them. So I really couldn't afford to get one. So when I did reach the point where I could get one, I got one, and I got another one. I have two, actually.
Now, how long did Tiffany do this, and did they just do it with Cougars?
They did it from 1984 to 89 down in Miami, Florida at a factory called Classic Motor Carriage.
And only until 89?
To 89.
What happened?
The Tiffany Jewelry Company sued them because they had the same name as they did, and so they said you could not do this, so they had to stop making the cars.
I can't imagine you've done much to this because they did everything to it.
Right. Basically, all I did was the detail. Like I put the gold swan on the hood.
Which I like.
And I added the eyebrows and stuff to the headlights, and just a little detail stuff like that.
You have two. Have you seen any others around town?
There are two others that I know for sure that I've seen at shows. You don't find many of them around. That's another reason I liked it.
You take a look at this and you don't see Cougar anywhere in this car unless you're familiar with it and you open up the door. Because I had an 86 Thunderbird.
Right.
The Cougar was its sister car, and I opened it up and I went, oh, there's my 86 Thunderbird
There
inside.
you go. That's correct.
But that's about the only way you'd know.
That's right.
So what do you do with this? I mean, it's not the car you hop in to go buy grogroceries with. Sharpie.
You know, I've done some limo work in it. I've had people who want me to take their kids to graduations. I've taken people to birthday parties, and they really enjoyed it because it's a different type car, but it's kind of like a type of car you want to, say, take pictures with.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are attracted to it in that way, and it's like getting out of it because a lot of people are ooh and ah over it.
You mean like us?
Yeah.
We appreciate you sharing it with us. Thanks, Sharpie.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, sure. It looks fabulous now. But guess what?
I found this in Phoenix, Arizona. It came out of a junkyard there.
Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte. We'll be right back.
Sally, Tina, Betsy, you've developed quite a bond with your classic car. Let the consignment professionals at RK Motors Charlotte make the selling process as painless as possible. Through precision marketing and large customer base, we all but guarantee a sale at maximum value, and we don't get paid until your car sells. We've sold over 1,500 classic cars here at RK Motors Charlotte, and now we'd like to get to know Betsy, at least for a little while. Visit rkmotorscharlotte.com.
Now back to Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte. Bob, I love Packards. I love Packard Patricians because usually when you think of Packard, you think of something from the 30s or 40s. You don't think of cars from the 50s, but Packard made some nice cars in the 50s.
Clear up to 56.
How long have you had this one, and where exactly did you find it?
I've had it for 41 years. Got it out of Hinckley, Ohio. The car was driven here in 1968 from California.
You've had it 41 years.
Yes.
It looks great, mostly in original condition.
Mostly in original. It was repainted in 1973, the original colors, but it actually has never been restored. I like it. It's a driver, and that's what I like.
How many miles do you have on it?
Well, I'm over 200,000. It had 126,000 on it when I bought it 41 years ago.
Wow.
So I figured a couple, 3,000 a year. I've put 80, 90,000 miles on it.
Well, you haven't restored it, Bob, but what have you done to it over the years?
Well, mostly it's mechanical. You know, you keep it going to mechanical parts. And I had their seats redone a few years ago because they were worn out. But other than that, 2 years ago, we had to do the engine because I blew a head gasket. So I said, it was 200,000 miles, we better get in there and take a look. So it was a complete rebuild.
What'd they find when they went in? Anything too drastic or just time to do it all?
They found a cracked block, and I had to replace the block. And it's a 359 cubic inch, only used in the 54 senior cars only. So there are not that many around. I found one in Indiana, and then they rebuilt the engine.
Bob, what is it about the Packard, especially the Packard of the 50s, that you like so much?
I grew up with Packards. My grandfather had a 37.6, 49, my dad bought a 41 Clipper, and then in 51 he bought a 50 Packard Deluxe 8, and that's the car I learned to drive in. And I run the dealers when I was a kid on my bicycle picking up brochures, and the Packard dealer was the closest one to my house. So I was up there almost every day. So, you know, Packard running the family, so I said when I wanted a car, I was going to get a Packard.
Yeah, when you were going to get a classic car, it had to be a Packard.
That's right.
Why have you kept it mainly original? You haven't restored the car.
Well, at one point I was going to restore the interior, but then if I did that, I figured I couldn't go out for ice cream anymore with the kids. So with
that's true.
I like it better this way. That way it sits in the garage. You know, it's a 20-foot car. 20 feet away, you don't see all the stone digs and things like that, because I drive the car probably 2,000 to 3,000 miles a summer.
Bob, Packard, obviously a big part of your family. What is it about the Packard that made it such a special car?
Well, Packard has a long history from 1899 for the first one up to 56 in Detroit. They built some great cars. I love reading history, and I was just attracted to it. They had a great history with the V12s of the 30s and the Super 8s of the 40s. They just built great cars.
Well, on your way home, stop and get some ice cream.
Well, that's a big thought. It's not a bad thought. I'll have to pick up the wife first, though.
You'll get in trouble if you don't. Larry and Patty, I'm impressed. Not just one, but two Pontiacs out tonight.
Absolutely.
Well done. They're beautiful cars. Let's start with the Bonneville Convertible.
All right.
Larry, yours?
Yes,
Patty's?
it is. It's mine.
This one's yours?
Yep.
And it's a 1960 Bonneville Convertible.
Yes, it is. I found this in Phoenix, Arizona. It came out of a junkyard there about 8 years ago.
Out of a junkyard?
Yes.
So can I guess it didn't look anything like this?
Oh no, it was really rough looking. It wasn't a rusty car, but it was beat up pretty bad. And wasn't no interior or anything, you know. No motor, no transmission, no nothing in it. The windshield was pushed down to the dashboard in it almost, and the doors was crushed, and it was all really rough.
What did attract you to that car sitting in the junkyard?
Well, what did it was I had one of these when me and my wife here got married 47 years ago. That's what we had. And,
so you had to get another one.
I had to have it when I saw it.
What did you think, Patty, when he said, you know, let's get the 60 Bonneville that looks like it should be in a junkyard?
I didn't see it before I brought it home. We were out visiting my sister out in Scottsdale, and he came back home and he says, I'm going back after a Pontiac. It's convertible, and I had no idea it was this bad. I mean, he junked worse ones than this one happened to be at the time.
So, Larry, where do you start on a project like that?
Well, I dismantled the whole car, took it right down to the frame, and started from there up with it. And I restored the frame and started up with the shell. It's done a lot of work on the internet, finding parts for it.
Well, it didn't have an interior.
No.
Now it has a beautiful interior.
It came out of Oregon. Well, I bought the seats in New York, and I had the upholstery made in Oregon. There's a man there that restores Pontiac interior, which makes the door panels and everything back to factory original. The dashboard I just restored myself, painted it, and done everything on it myself.
What do you have under the hood?
It's got a 455 with tri-power, 3 carburetors. It's got an overdrive transmission in it now and everything.
So Patty, now that it's done, finished, is it the car you guys had many years ago?
Much so. Different color, but much so.
And behind you guys, that's your car.
That's my GTO.
Your GTO.
My GTO.
And
Larry built that for me.
And that joined the family when?
Roughly 6 years ago. I had one when I was 18 and I wanted another one.
You were 18 and driving a GTO?
Yes.
Oh, Patty, that's scary.
I was quite adventurous at that time with cars. Back then, people raced on the street, so I was right in with them. I was in with the best of them.
Very nice. Where'd you guys find that one?
A friend of ours had it. He brought it up from Alabama, just a shell. It wasn't rusty, but it was a very clean car. It had to have a lot of blocking to straighten it up and that. And I ended up painting it like 3 times before I got the paint right. It's a candy apple. brandy wine.
Bigger challenge than the Bonneville? Or not quite?
No, not as big.
So here on a beautiful cruise night, do you usually bring both cars out, or do you decide, let's take yours tonight, honey, let's take yours, what?
Yes, we do. We usually take one or the other. Tonight was just that night we brought them both.
Coming up next.
100% correct and perfect, straight from Chrysler themselves.
It's the restoration of the last Hemi on Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte.
Handling classic and high-performance vehicles requires an industry-leading team of experts. Welcome to RK Motors Charlotte. Industry-leading means meticulous attention to detail when servicing every vehicle. It means a consignment service so fine-tuned that a successful sale at maximum value is all but guaranteed. And a rigorous inspection on every vehicle before its tires even touch our sales floor. It's all this and more that make RK Motors Charlotte the industry leader. Visit rkmotorscharlotte.com.
From start to finish, it's the restoration of the last Hemi.
So here we are back with the engine to the 71 Hemi Charger, the last Hemi. We've started the final process of putting it back together, getting everything pretty and perfect and just the way it should be. The subframe has been blasted, cleaned, taken care of all of its little pits, painted. Engine's been set back in, all the correct oversprays on the motor mounts to where it didn't quite cover everything 100%. Of course, you know, our filter will get changed with a correct Mopar filter when the time comes, but that was for painting purposes, as well as the valve covers that are all oversprayed and look real nasty right now will be completely changed with the NOS set that we have. With perfect wrinkle finish, everything exactly 100% correct and perfect, straight from Chrysler themselves. So, you know, we have all the new parts ready to go on. We have our carburetors. Both carbs are back. They were sent out professionally restored. We still keep them here in the bag. All the correct tags are put back on. They're perfectly cleaned. All the plating is correct plating that would have been when it was brand new. All the stuff that got old and dingy over the years is completely fresh and perfect again. We have a correct date-coded Carter fuel pump, everything. NOS part that we found with within the correct dates too, which was quite nice to find. Starter motor. The housing's nice, very nice. Everything looks good. You know, the restoration is overall very nice. I'm looking at a piece of metal here that still has some visible pits. Now, I will take and go back over and redo that because I'm sure in 71 when this went on there were no pits in that metal. Could be wrong, but I want it to be a little better than factory and perfect anyways. So I will clean that up a little bit, but pretty much overall that's ready to go on. Alternator, correct 71, correct dated. Inside, internally, all been repainted, taken apart, perfectly restored. All the windings are perfect. The fan inside is perfect, all the correct color on it. The housing is clean, nice, protected. All the bolts are correct. We'll have everything, the pulleys right, the numbers are right. Again, just drop dead part to go on a drop dead good looking motor. Distributor, restored, replated, the tags cleaned, everything's right, all set, should be a drop in, ready to go unit. Power steering pump, sent out, gone through, needs the detail work, but come back, I'll do the detail and all the clean work, the painting, removing the pits in the pulley. You know, I'll make sure everything looks dead perfect when it goes on, but all rebuilt, ready to go back on. Now it's just a matter of all the little extra bolts. We've bagged and labeled all the factory original bolts. I'll take them out, clean them, reuse originals where I can. But if they've been stripped or the head's been messed up a little bit on them, I will take and use the ones that are correct replacements, that have the correct markings, that is a restoration bolt kit. But the car's coming along real well, the engine's coming along real good. It's starting to come together now. We'll be able to get it put underneath there pretty soon.
For more on the restoration of the last Hemi, visit our website at thelasthemi.com.
When it comes to restoring or servicing your classic or high-performance car, expertise is the name of the game. And that's precisely what you'll find at RK Motors. You'll find our expertise in the attention to detail that can only be acquired through years of working on world-class builds. You'll also find our expertise in the RKM Performance Center, where we've assembled a team of highly qualified ASE-certified mechanics. When expertise is the name of the game, trust the experts at RK Motors. Visit rkmotorscharlotte.com.
Now back to the Riverfront Cruise on Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte. David, Mopar had some real interesting designs in the 1960s, but this has always been one of my favorites. Charger, 66, and they didn't make too many of them. Only, what, 2 years for this body style?
Yes, 2 years. 66, I can't remember the actual volume that they made, but 66 was the best-selling year. 67 didn't sell very good at all.
And then they changed it.
Yeah, then they went to the Coke bottle style.
And you know, I appreciate the car after they changed it, but boy, I love this look of the Charger.
Yeah, I kind of fell in love with them back when they were advertising them on TV.
How long have you had this one?
I bought this December 1975. At the time, it was silver, red interior. It was a 361 two-barrel automatic. Transmission was bad, the paint was peeling off of it, the interior was shredded. I paid $400 for it and everybody told me I just threw my money away.
You might have at the time if you weren't ready to put some care into it, and you have.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the potential, and it was the only Charger I found that wasn't rotted out.
Now, what did you do with this at that time, David? Because it's beautiful now. Did you restore it this way right then, or what?
No, I wasn't able to restore it until 2005.
So it sat looking silver and red for a long time?
I drove it, well, I painted it, this was the second car I ever painted. I painted it straight enamel and it was kind of freeze dried. And my dad said, "You done painting?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Put it outside." It was 5 degrees below zero. So the paint never would shine, but it was dark green from 77 up until 2005.
It's set up, not stock right now. What are you doing with this?
I set the car up for autocross, which is basically poor man's road racing. Take a big parking lot, set up a course with orange cones, and you run one car against the clock. And you run in different classes just like you would in drag racing.
How's it do?
Well, I call her the sliding turtle. Right now I'm running on street tires. Everybody else in my class are running on DOT race tires.
Somebody thought way back when, $400 well spent. Nice job.
Thank you.
I always like a venue like this for a car show. It's nice and tight, cars right next to each other, able to walk around and see everything in a very short, very quick period of time. Works out beautifully. Good night tonight here in Cuyahoga Falls. I'm Jeff Phelps. We'll see you next time on Cruise In, presented by RK Motors Charlotte.